Okay, we are recording. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited. I've been trying to pin these guys down for a little bit. Welcome, Nick Ghilardi, VP of Sales for B5 Systems, and Mark Keller, Executive VP for B5 Systems. And this is really fun because we haven't done a podcast yet with more than one guest, but you two are like two peas in a pod and a little side entertainment. Yeah, instead of just selling products. But Mark, do you think you could maybe kind of just give us the audience, a brief overview of kind of how B5 started, where you guys are at geographically in the company, loosely the size of the company, and kind of where you guys are headed? Maybe talk about your products, just so, because I think a lot of people don't know about B5, and B5 is really special, very, very special.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Thank you for having both of us on, Shailene. Great opportunity. So B5 traditionally was a defense contract manufacturer. Entered the space in late 2008. Really kind of the third iteration of a family business that started back in the late 60s, again in defense contract manufacturing. So I came on board with the company summer of 2011. Transitioned out of my former career, came on board full time, and really started to focus not just on the military, but commercial firearms market. So today our core business is really broken down into government sales, both foreign and domestic, military, federal law enforcement, et cetera, OEM space, and then commercial product line. So we're heading towards 50 employees.
Wow.
We've seen a lot of growth in the last few years. OEM work, we're working with almost 70 OEMs at this point. So from small single shop OEMs up to the giants and powerhouses in the industry, and everyone in between. So yeah, we do a lot in house. Again, we're growing, and so traditional machining, CNC, Swiss lathes, turn work, and then polymer injection. We're best known for our furniture, our stocks and grips. On the military side, we do a lot there. Kind of starting with the SOTMOD contract that led into again the presence in the commercial firearm space. I kind of led that effort when I came on board. Since then, we've received a national stock number for our collapsible precision stock,
Wow.
a national stock number for our Bravo stock. We just started shipping some new military products that we'll release in the upcoming months or make public. So yeah, it's an exciting time at B5 with what we're doing and where we're headed.
Yeah, it's really an amazing company. I get to see a lot of companies, but this is truly a great culture. Having been to your facility and taken a tour of part of it, what I was really impressed with was the culture inside your company. It's very much a family feel, but a professional feel. And I think that is really hard to balance. That's not a lot of companies are able to do that.
It's really something that we've worked hard to do. And putting the right people in the right positions, promoting from within, and then going out and getting talent that fits that same mold, that fits what we do and why we do it. To that end, I am one of the co-owners. With my business partner, with our president Jed Burke. I've told him no matter how big we get as a company, whether we're 500 employees or 50 employees or 5 employees, I want us very purposefully to keep that small feel. I always want to be approachable, always want to be receptive to our customers, to the end users of our products. And I think that really does start internally. I think that it's absolutely foundational to instill that from every person on the floor up to the corporate leaders.
And I was impressed that your facility runs Monday through Friday, or at least most of them do, or not Monday through Thursday, I beg your pardon, and they're off on Fridays. But yet the executive team is often working either in the office or from home, which I think a lot of companies see the opposite, right?
Sure.
And when you take a tour, and I went around and met people who were working, everyone knows everyone else by first name and they know their families. And this is very much not just a talk about giving these people benefits. It's a real quality of life. Now, you guys are located in Ohio. So in the Midwest, tell me the name of the city because I will mispronounce it.
So we're in a little town, a little suburb of Dayton, Ohio, called Xenia. So we're about 15 minutes east of Dayton. So very centrally located,
Yep.
which is great to help get our products out throughout the country. So being in the Midwest, a flyover state, for some people, they see that as a negative. Really, it's a strong suit.
Totally.
The culture that we have, the values that we have, both individually and collectively as a company, is really firmed up. Being where we're located.
Yeah, it's very. Your culture isn't one that I thought was vacillating or so new it didn't have a concrete foundation. It's solid. It's building on it now. I mean, you guys are only an hour and a half from Columbus, right?
Yeah. So just an hour from Columbus, an hour from Cincinnati, 3 hours from Cleveland. So we really are hour and a half from Indianapolis. So our geographic position is very strong. The Midwest is known for manufacturing. Kind of those blue collar roots. Going back to the auto industry, but Dayton has a rich history of aerospace and aviation. Obviously, we're 10 minutes from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Oh, okay.
Largest Air Force installation in the world, largest
I didn't know that.
supplier. Yeah, so it's a great facility, tons of research, lots of universities. So again, as we grow and scale and increase that talent internally, it's a great place to be, to recruit from universities. Younger folks coming out of school, as well as established people that are either doing a transition in their career, or again, we're in a fun space. A lot of people love the gun industry, the firearms industry. They love our military association, and we just posted for some assembly jobs. Good. And we had hundreds of applications. So we're very fortunate to realize that the manufacturing sector is not as strong as we'd like it to see. The overall economy is down. So I think that's part of the reason we're seeing so many people apply for positions, but also, we're doing a lot of cool stuff, and we're a fun company to work for. And I think that's part of the draw and appeal as well.
Yeah, no, it's great. And location is wonderful. And we three just saw each other at NASGW. So our companies both belong to the National Sporting Goods Wholesalers. Is that what NASGW stands for? Something like that. Sorry, Kenyon. So
I like yours better anyways.
It's a good show, though. And Nick, I was just asking you before we jumped on here recording that it was a good show for you guys. And NASGW is, it sounds like it's a good place for you to exhibit and meet with distributors and wholesalers and even manufacturers.
Yeah, it absolutely is. NASGW, and Mark heard me say this before, I think is one of the most important shows in the firearms industry on the commercial side, at least. I've been doing this for a while now, and out of all the shows that I attend, we probably get more out of that show than I would say almost any other show. It's especially important for relatively younger companies. As we were talking about earlier, you're there to meet with both current and prospective distributors or distribution partners that you might want to be with. And for a younger company, that's a really important thing. So B5, is again relatively younger.
Yeah.
We are in quite a few distributors currently. We did have a few on our list that we wanted to speak to, and we had fantastic conversations with all of them, and they're all looking very promising. I won't name names in case they watch this.
No, don't do that.
But overall, it was very good for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic show, and of course, it was great seeing you there as well.
Oh, all right, that's awesome. I mean, I don't know. I had to go back over to your booth like 6 times to actually.
Well, I am a busy guy. I'm there to work.
But Nick was there every time. Yeah, it's so Nick, talk to us a little bit about your perspective on the industry. You've been in the industry, and you and I have known each other for quite a few years. What have you seen over the last couple of years, and what is your perspective on the forecasting for the next couple of years in the industry? I'm sure you have opinions. They're educated.
That's $1 million question, isn't it? Well, I always say, again, we're talking about the commercial aspects of the industry, just to be specific.
Yes.
It's always peaks and valleys, right? That's what we always say in the industry. It's always peaks and valleys. It's never flat. And right now, unfortunately, we're in a valley. I think anybody in the industry would say that.
Yeah.
You can look at any source of data from, various distribution partners to Nick's checks to, what have you. Will it always be that way? No, of course not. Right. We'll
always
come out
changes.
of it. It's just a matter of time. Of course, what everyone wants to know is, when and to what extent, right?
Yeah.
Like I said before, that's $1 million question. So if I knew that information, I probably would be here on the podcast right now, which I love you. But no, I kid. But it's tough, right? I think, we will gradually come out of it. I think, this is Nick's personal opinion after talking to other manufacturers and distributors, et cetera. I do think it's going to be tough the next probably coming months, potentially into the end of next year. But it is a matter of time before we start to climb our way out of it, as inventory starts to move, through the channels, open to buy dollars start to free up, all of which is happening. It's just slow. And there's a lot to move through. Certain big partners have unfortunately gotten themselves into tough inventory situations. And there's a significant cascading effect when that happens, right? It's not just that one customer, it's all the other customers they service as well, right? And that has an impact in the overall industry. So, and there's a few of those right now, and a few of those in a pretty big way. So, long-winded answer to your question. I don't have the exact answer. My general opinion, it's tough right now. Will always be tough. No, we'll come out of it. The most important thing to do, and I think this is where B5 shines really, really well, is 2 things. One is to set yourself up for success right now, to plant the seeds you need to plant, be with the partners you want to be with, have on the OEM side, have the conversations with the manufacturers that you want to have, develop those relationships. Now more than ever, people are willing to look at, alternatives, SMUs, et cetera, things to help try to move product, and B5 being, I would say, the up and coming brand that it is, but frankly, I don't want to sit here and say we're already there. I know that sounds arrogant, but in a lot of ways, we really are. I mean, we get approached ourselves. We're not there necessarily going and asking people, hey, would you like to do, in the case of an SMU with a manufacturer, a gun with our furniture on it. Many times they're coming to us with those requests, which is great, and we love them for it, right? So we're having those kinds of conversations now, which is fantastic. And then, again, being with the partners you want to be with on the distribution side and the dealer side and the buy groups you want to be with, et cetera, is only going to set you up for success once the industry starts to take off, which can be influenced by all manner of events, as we all know, because we've all been in it for so long. But we're already there. And the other thing too is, to scale intelligently, right? So when it does take off, a lot of companies will try to scale as quickly as possible to increase their manufacturing, et cetera. And frankly, to meet demand, because demand is so high. It's in some cases it's almost, bottomless, right? It's infinite. And they end up hurting themselves in a pretty bad way once it starts to fall off again, because as we said, peaks and valleys, right? So you hit a valley, now you're in a really tough position. You spend a lot of money, you've got a lot of inventory, you got a lot of excess capacity, and the market's just not there. It's not there for anybody, right? And so it's, my opinion has always been, it's okay to leave a little bit of money on the table, so long as you scale in a gradual, in an intelligent manner that makes sense for your business and makes sense, for our industry, as we all know it to be, right? In those big kind of peaks and valleys. So
and I think B5 is nimble. I think you guys are nimble and able able to pivot and make changes where, from my perspective, has the market been down over the last year? Certainly, you can look around at companies and see that, but it hasn't stopped. Like, we haven't stopped recruiting. We haven't stopped being hired. And as a matter of fact, at NISGW, I would say we came back with 3 times more job searches than I expected. And I would say our turn is already here. We just haven't seen it yet. And I think, that's hindsight in our industry. And like you said, Nick, we always have peaks and valleys, no matter what. And I think it's such a great industry. I think the smart companies know when you have a valley, that's the time to innovate. Mm-hmm. That's the time to take your savings and put it into your company and to your people and be ready for that next turn, because it's always going to come.
Yeah, it's all about positioning yourself, right? When the industry is slow and sales across the board for everybody are down, that's, to your point, when you want to invest in yourself, you want to invest in your partners, right? Your relationships, again, through all your sales channels, and just make sure you're primed and ready to go once it picks back up, because it will eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next stop for you guys, the next big show, is that SHOT Show?
Yeah, absolutely. And
you guys will be there, I presume?
We will.
Talking to your customers and
yeah, we will be. SHOT is I tell folks it's the busiest week of the year. It really is. And for us and our growing team, it just continues to get busier every year. So we'll be already having those kind of initial discussions, and not quite putting stuff on the calendar yet, but here we are in November now, and schedules are going to start getting filled out here pretty soon. And it seems like it's far away, but it seems like it's next week. The end of the year is always extremely busy, working on new projects, shoring up accounts and finishing us strong, but really to Nick's point, shoring up where we're at. Today is important. Tomorrow, even more so. That's how we are as a company. So yeah, SHOT is going to be extremely busy this year. Very excited for it already. It's going to be a good time. It's always fun, always a ton of work. But it's the one singular event that if you have to be at one place, that's probably the place to be. Across all of our sales channels. We will meet with military and government customers. We'll meet with our OEM partners. We'll meet with our dealers and distributors. So it's a very, very busy week, and it's going to be here before we know it.
Yep. For our audience, whomever's listening to this, and it always surprises me when I get stopped somewhere. I was at a AUSA trade show not that long ago, and I was stopped by one of the CEOs saying, "Hey, Shailene, this podcast came up in my feed and I saw so-and-so on it. It was so great." So, for anyone who's listening to this, if you want to meet with B5, you definitely want to get with these people at SHOT Show if they have time in their schedule, because this is just a great partner company. And I know that there's been introductions that I've talked to other manufacturers of other products that want to partner with B5, and the feedback has just been incredible. It's that B5 is a great customer, great to work with, great products, great communication, and that's not that easy to find sometimes. So take advantage of that.
And I would say too, to your point, and I'm going to speak across all sales channels, but especially in the OEM side, that's what we try to be. And for the audience, OEM is really Mark's area of operations. So I'll let him speak to this, but I do know as a company, we try and do a great job of, excellent customer service. And, I'll borrow one of Mark's famous sayings, which is we always try to be the easy yes, right? And I think that's taken us a really, really long way. Again, on all sales channels, but especially OEM.
It's good customer service, right? So Mark, if you could speak to that, what does OEM mean? Because there's probably people that are listening to this that maybe don't know what OEM means. And I know the people who are going to work with you know what that means, but that might help explain a little bit to folks who want to learn about our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So OEM is kind of a manufacturing term, stands for original equipment manufacturer. And really that just means that we work with manufacturers, i.e. gun companies, rifle manufacturers, rifle producers that will incorporate and put B5 product into their rifle, into their weapon system. So, really just acting as an integrator of, companies seeing of what we're doing in all our various spaces and say, hey, we like what you have for whatever particular reason or use case, and we supply them parts. So again, we're pushing 70 OEMs at this point.
Wow.
We have smaller customers that take I'll say dozens of our parts and components every month. We have the bigger guys that take tens of thousands, and everywhere in between. So it's a great position to be in as a company, as a growing company. It gives us a very holistic and broad overview of the market that puts us really in a unique space. So while we're still relatively new, we've been around long enough to have some strength, and it's always fun, NASGW, AUSA, SHOT Show, talking to our industry partners. Sometimes very large household brands, very large companies that, hey Mark, what do you think about this? What do you think's coming? And it's really an honor to one, have that level of confidence instilled in me personally, but instilled in our company to say, hey, what are you seeing? What is selling? What are market trends? What are sales trends? That customer service through all channels is really paramount for us. Nick and I on the sales side, we're always available. We have customers that are, international. Our product is used globally from the most discerning customers. And so because of that, we're almost always on. We will avail ourselves to taking those late night phone calls, really solving people's problems and being an asset. And I would be remiss, Shailene, if I didn't say, we saw you recently at NSGW, but we also saw you at AUSA. So you are everywhere. So B5, both product and people are all over the place. Well, as are you in your team. And so wanted to give you a little thank you as well as a little call out. So I mean, you really are ever present, and as our relationship continues to grow, haven't known you as long as Nick, but everybody. So you are a force to be reckoned with in the industry. Full disclosure, we recently used HeadHunters Northwest to help acquire some talent on the marketing side, and just Shailene gets it. You just absolutely do. So your breadth of knowledge and experience specifically in our space, I think, is extremely unique. And the candidates that you put in front of us, they were all winners. I mean, frankly, it was difficult to say, man, who's the right person? Who do we go with? And I think that really speaks to you of saying, hey, we're gonna give you great options to choose from, and we're gonna help you figure out what's the best fit for B5. So just wanted to give you a little thank you for your involvement. And as we look back, that will be part of our growth, but our future success. So wanted to say thank you for that.
I appreciate it. I'm humbled and embarrassed. I did not expect that, nor did I want you to do that, but thank you. I'm honored. And I really kept hounding you guys about this, and I know you're busy, and I know you take calls 7 days a week and at night too. But I think it's important that we highlight our great American manufacturing companies, and I think B5 is that definition. And, I don't want to give anything away that Judd told me he wants to do for the employees as they grow, because I didn't get his permission to do that. But it is really I can't even express what a cool company B5 is. So anyone listening to this, we'll have the link for B5 on this podcast, but the hiring will continue because this is a company that's going to continue to grow. And there's going to be a lot of great opportunity in the beautiful upper Midwest where you guys live. And it's definitely a company that we're proud to represent, but also very proud to tell people about, because if you could apply to be an assembler to get in the door at B5, you're going to be promoted and you're going to have lots of opportunity for career growth. And, you know, it's hard to find a good, solid American manufacturing company these days. And I'm real proud to say I got the chance to work with one of them. So thank you very much for being on the podcast. I appreciate your time. And if anyone, you know, wants to get a hold of B5, I suggest you do that and keep track of these folks because they're the up and comers. They're already here. People just don't know it. You're the best kept secret. So thank you very much for being on the HeadHunters podcast, both of you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Mark. And until next time, we look forward to bringing you more information about some of the great companies in the firearms industry.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, Shailene.
Thank you.